All right, welcome back. If you're a first or second year electrical apprentice gearing up for that Red Seal exam, or maybe you're about to step onto a massive commercial site for a concrete slab pour, well, you're exactly where you need to be. Today, I'm throwing on my master electrician hat, and we're going to translate the Canadian Electrical Code 2024 into plain everyday language. Specifically, we are tackling Section 12, Underfloor Raceways. We're not just going to sit here and memorize rules, guys. We're going to really understand how this actually plays out on a real Canadian job site, so you can build it right, sail through your inspections, and absolutely crush that exam.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to hit code navigation, then permitted locations, installation steps, conductor fill, some Red Seal practice questions, and we'll wrap it all up with an exam cheat sheet. Let's get into it.
Starting off with Section 1, Code Navigation.
Now, during your exam, speed is literally everything. You really need to know exactly which neighborhood of the code book you're hanging out in. For underfloor raceways, they live in Section 12, right under wiring methods. Specifically, you're looking for that block spanning from Rule 12-1700 to 12-1718. You're typically going to run into these systems on those massive commercial jobs. Think big open concept office buildings or huge retail spaces, places where they desperately need power and data distributed seamlessly right across the floor plan without, dropping ugly lines from the ceiling.
Moving on to Section 2, Permitted Locations. Basically, where are you actually allowed to put this stuff?
Take a look at how Rule 12-1700 strictly dictates where these raceways can and cannot go. You are totally permitted to install them under the surface of concrete or other flooring materials. But look closely at that prohibited list. You absolutely cannot put them below the floor or on the underside of the floor. And you're strictly banned from installing them anywhere exposed to corrosive vapors, in commercial garages, or inside storage battery rooms. Think about it practically for a second. Commercial garages, they have heavy, shifting loads and highly corrosive fluids. And battery rooms, they off-gas dangerous vapors that could easily seep right into a raceway system and travel straight back to your electrical panel. So the code here is literally protecting you from a major disaster.
All right, Section 3, Installation Steps. Let's run through the pre-pour checklist.
So picture this. You're out on a freezing commercial slab pour, and the concrete trucks are literally lined up waiting. Let's walk through the required step-by-step process to install this right the very first time before it's literally cast in stone. According to Rule 12-1702, first up, you must lay your raceways in a perfectly straight line between the centers of your junction boxes. No wavy lines, no taking the scenic route. Next, you have got to secure them mechanically. When they start pouring that wet concrete, it's insanely heavy and it wants to push everything around. If your pipe floats or shifts, your entire run is completely ruined. Finally, and this is an absolutely critical one, you must use waterproof cement on all joints along the edges, the couplings, the junction boxes, and those cover rings. Wet concrete is basically just water and aggregate. If that soup seeps into your raceway joints, you're going to have a solid rock blocking your wire pull later. And trust me, nobody wants to deal with that.
Okay, let's break down the specific rules for your fittings here. According to Rule 12-1706, you can only make taps and splices in header access units or junction boxes, meaning you cannot splice right in the middle of a pipe run. Makes sense, right? But hey, listen up, because here comes an absolute Red Seal trap. Rule 12-1716 plainly states that junction boxes shall not be used as outlet boxes. If an exam question asks if you can mount a receptacle directly into that floor junction box, the answer is a hard, immediate no. Furthermore, if you happen to be working with post-stressed or pre-stressed concrete floors, Rule 12-1718 says you have to use preset inserts. If you realize later you need to drill an after-set insert, well, it's got to comply with the National Building Code of Canada. Why? Because drilling into a stressed slab risks compromising the entire structural integrity of the floor, and yeah, that's a really bad day.
Now, when you're actually out there setting those inserts on the job site, Rules 12-1708 and 12-1710 dictate the physical finish. You absolutely must level them to the exact grade of the floor and then seal them up tight with watertight plugs. Also, you have to use special tools specifically designed for the purpose when you're cutting through the walls of these raceways. The whole goal here is to prevent sharp little chips of metal from falling in, because those will completely shred your insulated conductors during your wire pull. Honestly, dirt and debris are your absolute worst enemies in a floor raceway system.
Moving right along to Section 4, Conductor Fill.
All right, Rule 12-1714 is basically the golden rule for conductor fill here.
It states that the aggregate cross-sectional area of your insulated and bare conductors, and yes, that includes their insulation, cannot exceed 40% of the interior cross-sectional area of the raceway. This 40% rule is a pretty standard baseline across a lot of conduit types in the CEC. It's there to ensure proper heat dissipation and to make sure you actually have enough room for a smooth wire pull without tearing up your jackets.
But here is the crucial point, and a major exam trap. Examiners absolutely love to test the exceptions. That 40% fill rule does not apply if the raceway contains only these specific jacketed cables: mineral insulated, aluminum sheath, copper sheath, armored cable, or non-metallic sheath cable. Why is that? Well, because these are complete cable assemblies wrapped in their own protective jackets, which is totally different from pulling individual loose insulated conductors. So remember, if a question asks about the max fill for loose insulated wire, boom, it's 40%. But if you're only pulling armored cable in that raceway, the 40% rule is completely off the table.
Okay, here is a massive field practice tip that both inspectors and examiners just love to focus on. Imagine you're doing a reno in an open concept office. A desk gets moved and suddenly an underfloor outlet is no longer needed. Rule 12-1712 legally requires you to completely remove the insulated conductors supplying that discontinued outlet straight out of the raceway. You can't just cap off the wires with wire nuts, slap a blank plate over the floor box and call it a day. Nope. Dead, abandoned, live-capped wires hiding inside an underfloor system are a severe code violation.
All right, time for Section 5, Red Seal Practice. Let's test your knowledge. Let's do a quick active recall test. Think of it as a mini inspection of your knowledge. Read this question carefully. You're out on site. The client walks up and says, "Hey, we don't need this floor plug anymore." What action must you take? Think back to the specific code rule we literally just went over.
If you said pull the wires out, you hit the nail on the head. The correct answer is to physically remove those conductors from the underfloor raceway. Because, as we said, simply capping them off in a hidden underfloor system creates a totally unnecessary hazard and directly violates Rule 12-1712. If you chose cap them off on the exam, you'd fail that question, and on site you'd fail that inspection.
Okay, let's do one more. Here's a very common exam question regarding the physical installation phase, right before that massive concrete pour actually happens. Underfloor raceway joints, couplings, and junction box cover plates must be sealed with what material?
The answer is waterproof cement, exactly as laid out in Rule 12-1702. Not duct tape, not a smear of silicone caulking, waterproof cement. You have got to ensure that wet, concrete soup and random moisture absolutely do not find their way into that raceway system while the floor is being built.
All right, let's bring it home with Section 6, Exam Cheat Sheet. Go ahead and take a screenshot of this right now. This is your exam cheat sheet. It breaks down the absolute most critical underfloor raceway code rules and translates them into plain English. Keep this handy on your phone for those late-night cram sessions or just for a quick review in the work truck before you step onto the site.
To summarize our entire explainer today, here is your Red Seal takeaway. These are the 3 absolute most important things to lock in for your exam and your career. Number 1. Maximum conductor fill is 40%, but always watch out for those jacketed cable exceptions. Number 2. Always physically remove insulated conductors from discontinued underfloor outlets. Don't leave them in there. And number 3. Junction boxes in these underfloor systems can never, ever be used as outlet boxes.
So before you step onto your next job site, ask yourself, if you spot an abandoned underfloor wire, are you going to be the electrician who cuts corners? Or are you going to be the one who catches the code violation and saves the inspection? Thanks so much for studying with me today. If you found this lesson helpful, please drop a like, hit subscribe, and leave a comment telling me exactly which CEC topic you want to tackle next. Keep studying, stay safe out there, and good luck on your Red Seal journey.